Good evening to each and every one of you gathered at this meeting of the American Historic Association in Atlanta. I regret that I cannot be with you tonight. Today is the first day of the new session of the 110th Congress. All the members of the United States House of Representatives were sworn in here in Washington today. So I could not be with you, but I would like to be there. It is a great honor to be recognized by the oldest association of historians in the country, especially one once led by Presidents Roosevelt and Wilson. It is also a great honor to receive an award named after these two great men, the Theodore Roosevelt-Woodrow Wilson Public Service Award. I would like to thank your president, Professor Linda Kerber, your executive director, Dr. Anita Jones, and the Governor Council of the American Historic Association for this great honor. You've asked me to talk for a few moments about what I believe history and why I believe history is so important. Our history is our national identity. The story of our past helps us to find who we are as a nation and as a people. And they help us determine who we must become. Teddy Roosevelt would say that we are blessed to be a nation with a glorious past. We are blessed because we were founded on one of the highest goals of human civilization, the need to free the human spirit so it can pursue its divine destiny. America was established not to create wealth, said Woodrow Wilson, but to realize a vision, to realize an idea, to discover and maintain liberty among humankind. And that vision, that American dream, has inspired people around the world to find their way to our shore in search of their future. And others was inspired by our story to struggle for the causes of freedom and justice within their own borders as they seek to redefine their own national identity. So tonight, I must tell you as historians, when I speak to students and speak to people all across our country, I tell the stories of American history. And we all have stories to tell, and we should share and tell our stories. I tell the stories of the Civil Rights Movement and use them to inspire people to get involved in our democracy. I talk about the philosophy of nonviolence, about Henry David Thoreau and civil disobedience, about Emerson, Gandhi, and Martin Luther King Jr. I often tell young people to find a way to get in the way, because another generation of Americans got in the way. When I was growing up in rural Alabama as a young child and would visit the little town of Troy, visit Montgomery, visit Tuskegee, I saw those signs that said white men, colored men, white women, colored women. I saw those signs that said white waiting, colored waiting. And I would come home and I would ask my mother, ask my father, ask my grandparents, my great-grandparents, why segregation, why racial discrimination? We would go downtown to the little theater. And all of us little black children had to go upstairs to the balcony. And all of the little white children went downstairs to the first floor. And I would say, why? And they would say, don't get in trouble. Don't get in the way. But I found a way to get in the way. I got in trouble. It was good trouble. It was necessary trouble. And I tell you, wonderful members of this association, you gifted and smart historians, if you visit my office in Washington or in Atlanta, you will find the evidence of that history, the American dreams. You will see photographs of the March on Washington in 1963, when I stood there with Martin Luther King Jr. and others, 23 years old, had all of my hair, and a few pounds lighter. You will see a photograph, a Life magazine cover of me walking across the bridge on Bloody Sunday, March 7, 1965, being beaten, tear gas, and trampled by horses. Even today, those photographs, videos, magazine covers that I've collected have inspired me and continue to inspire me. Yes, we are blessed to have a glorious past, but our history has not been without faults, without pitfalls, without the problems that have plagued the human condition. But our legacy is great and will continue to be great as long as we have the courage to confront our faults and correct our course toward our highest destiny. That's why a few years ago, I believe it was important, and I think it remains important today, to be committed to the struggle to create a National Museum of African American History and Culture. For several years, I introduced the legislation in every session of the Congress. That legislation is passed, and we're going to build on the National Mall a museum of African American history and culture that would tell the story, the full story, the complete story of our history. The American story is not complete. The whole story is not told unless we include the story and the history of African American. As historians, you must never ever give up. You must never ever give in. You must continue to teach history. Make history come alive. Make it become real. Not just for your students, but for everyday average American. I'm deeply inspired by history. It teaches us that we must not repeat the dark past, that we must not tear down, that we must build, that we must not hate, we must love, that we must not divide, but we must be reconciled. It tells us that we must move toward the creation of one nation, one people, one family, the American nation, the American family. I will tell you one little story, and I will be finished. When I was growing up outside of Troy, Alabama, 50 miles from Montgomery, on a farm, I had an aunt by the name of Seneva. And my Aunt Seneva lived in what we call a shotgun house. She didn't have a green manicured lawn. She had a simple, plain dirt yard. And sometime at night, you can look up through the holes in the ceiling, through the tin roof, and count the stars. When it would rain, she would get a pail, a bucket, a tub, and catch the rainwater. From time to time, she would walk out into the woods and take branches from a dogwood tree and tie these branches together and make a broom. And she would call that broom the brush broom. And she would sweep this dirt yard very clean, sometimes 2 and 3 times a week, but especially on a Friday or Saturday, because she wanted that dirt yard to look very good during the weekend. I know as historians from all across America, you have never seen a shotgun house. You don't even know what I'm talking about. But a shotgun house is an old house, one way in, one way out. In a nonviolent sense, it's a house where you can bounce a basketball through the front door and it will go straight out the back door. In the military sense, it's an old house, one way in, one way out, maybe a tin roof, where you can fire a shotgun through the front door and the bullet will go straight out the back door. But one Saturday afternoon, a group of my brothers and sisters and a few of my first cousins, about 12 or 15 of us young children, were playing in my Aunt Seneva dirt yard. And an unbelievable storm came up. The wind started blowing, the thunder started rolling, and the lightning started flashing, and the rain started beating on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. My aunt became terrified. She started crying. She thought this old house was going to blow away. So she got all of us little children together and told us to hold hands. As little children, we did as we were told. We all started crying. We thought this house was going to blow away. And we cried and we cried. And when one corner of this old house appeared to be lifted from its foundation, mine had us to walk to that corner to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. When the other corner appeared to be lifted, she had us to walk to that side to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. We were little children walking with the wind, but we never left the house. That's what the American Civil Rights Movement was about, trying to hold the American house together. Today, as historians, you must do what you can in teaching history to get unborn generation to hold not just the American house together, not just the house of Georgia, the house of New York, or the house of California, but the world house together. We all live in the same house. I said to you as historians, continue to walk with the wind and let the spirit of history be your guide. Thank you very much for this great honor.